Hi, here's another episode that I'm talking about for Fox FloatX Performance to Performance Elite upgrade. So in this video, I'm going to talk about something that you might not know previously. I think a lot of stores or shops, they make videos on YouTube talking about how you can upgrade the FloatX performance to the Performance Elite model. I think I'm going to deep dive into that and show you something that you may not know before watching this video. Okay, so let's move on to the performance versus performance elite of the Fox Float X. And obviously, on the left side, you can see the performance version. It has a black cap on top of the reservoir. Well, for the factory or performance elite version, you have a blue knob that you can fine tune your low speed compression, right? So that's the difference. Okay, so I think the Lost.com has made videos talking about how you can buy the LSC knob upgrade kit online or from the Fox dealer, and you can install it on by yourself. So for that kit, I've listed the part number there, and Fox actually has published a tutorial, which I have the website page over there. You can take a look if you're interested in doing that. But keep in mind, these stuff, they are retailing for $25, and good luck if you can find one if you're in the United States. I think they're probably out of stock in a lot of places. And if you need to order that, you need to order most likely from a Fox dealer bike shop. And it might be in back order. I'm not sure, at least from what I know, is you may have to spend a month waiting for the kit. Okay. So let's say if we still want that, we probably can use the poor man's LSC knob upgrade kit, which is basically, I think, one of the writer created that by using 3D printing. So what it does is that it lacks the click comparing to the original knob, but it has infinite sweep adjustment, similar to the Marzocchi Bomber Air. That you cannot feel the clicks, but it's actually rotating the needle or the pillar, teardrop shaped pillar, underneath that. Okay, so I've put the eBay link in this slide, and as far as I know, I bought it for $6 or close to $6 each, and I've actually installed it on my shock, and it works perfectly. It fits fine. Okay, so let's say if you're a poorer man, which you don't even want to spend the $6, but you still want to tune your low speed compression, you can also do that. So I've have the picture from Fox website, so you can see in the red circle there's a marker basically showing where it's pointing at, and what you can do is actually here four positions. You have open, which basically means your low speed compression is really low. Then you have light, medium, and firm. So for these four positions, in order to change it, you will need to pop off the plastic cap. That means you will likely need to use a screwdriver to do that. Then use it to rotate the teardrop shaped needle underneath it to the other three locations, then pop it back on. Then you get basically a four position adjustment by doing this. Okay. Now the question becomes, let's say if we have successfully changed the low speed compression knob, does it really make a difference? Well, the investigation that I did or the research I did, some said yes, right? The first one said I currently adjust my FloatX with the black plastic knob that was locked on my Stumpy Evo. I can say the compression definitely changes, very noticeable. I ordered the knob, but it's on back order. So he basically did the poorer man's way, which just use the black plastic cap to change it, and it makes a difference for him. And another guy commented, definitely not a placebo effect for me. I raced enduro at a relatively high level for a time and became pretty obsessive over suspension setup. So saying that he's pretty experienced, and he could definitely notice the difference in how the bike feels. Okay. He added 3 to 4 clicks for flow or high speed stuff and 1 to 2 for raw or more natural stuff. And he's claiming that that gives him the support he was looking for. Well, some other comments that I read said he or she didn't notice the difference. Okay, so the first comment said on his 22 Stumpy Evo, he can really feel a difference when the open and firm position, but he thinks it's still nice to have, right? Then the second comment is this isn't altogether true. Just adding the knob will not give you enough adjustability to feel a difference. You will need to upgrade the base valve. He said he talked to a Fox shock technician, and by installing it himself, and he basically felt no difference at all. Okay, and he can probably feel the slightest adjustment change, but he still thinks, I spent $25. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Then the third comment said, I have the same experience. It did nothing. And he was riding the 2023 Levo. Then the fourth comment is basically saying he caught the West Coast and East Coast Fox service center, and they give totally different answers. So one said you do not need to change the bleed valve to get LSC. The other one said you most definitely had to. So he was pretty hopeless. Okay, so let's look into the diagram of the base valve. So here is what actually makes the difference. Okay, so here we can obviously see that. So let me probably put a marker over here. Okay, and let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so what we can see here is this one is what actually changes the teardrop shape needle when when you rotate that low speed compression knob. And here's the base valve. Then you have the base valve shim stack for it. Then the key question will become, we need to understand how it works, because one definitely said you need to change the base valve. But we can see from here, no matter it's performance or performance elite or the factory, they shipped with base valve. It's totally the same, right? Performance series has the base valve, factory has it. It's not like the performance series has no base valve at all. Any version, it will have a base valve. Okay, so now let's take the shock apart and see the low speed oil flow path inside the base valve. So what we're seeing here on the left side, I should admit that I got these pictures from a writer from MTBR. I didn't do it myself. So there will be some guessing into these pictures and how it works, but I think it should be close enough. So what we can see here in this red circle, we have some tapered groove. That's when you change your LSC knob, then basically this stuff rotates to control the depth of the groove, and it will basically control the oil flow going into this low speed compression bleed port. And it might come out from this notch. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it definitely has an oil flow path that is separated from the shim sack. Okay, so what I have here on the right side is that the oil will flow into the reservoir, then through this LSC bleed, then it will go out. Okay, so I think this one is commonly used as the leak port in the low speed compression design, basically. So what we have here is you have your shim stack right over here, and then you have the leak port. When the force is not that high enough, then the oil will leak through the leak port, that's generating a separate path from the shim stack. That's why that controls your low speed. Okay, now let's move on to the lockout oil flow path. So remember that we have this blue switch. No matter on performance or performance elite or factory series, you can always enable that. That is called the climb switch. Okay, so what it does is it actually blocks. So here I have three blue circles over here. That will block the ports for these three blue circles. And oil can only flow into the green circles, right? And on the other side, you can see the oil cannot flow outside the blue circle. It can only flow outside the green circles. And from the cross section, if we take a look into that, then basically the oil is flying through this red line and arrow. It will first go through the green circled shim, which is only one piece. Then it will go through the blue shim stack, which has multiple shims. Okay, so after talking about the lockout oil flow path, let's talk about the oil flow that really goes through the high-speed circuit, which I have marked over here in blue. So we can see here we have more ports, right? So I have three blue circles for this curve, and then the oil will basically flow out of these eight circled ports over here. And by doing that, we actually bypass the single shim that we had in the lockout circuit. So now the oil flow, not only it has more area for the base valve, but also it only needs to go through the high-speed shim stack. Okay, so now let's move on to the base valve tunings for your stock float X. So what we can see here on Fox website, not only you will have lever mode medium, lever mode light, or mode firm, but also you have several options listed over here, which says medium bleed, light bleed, okay, firm bleed, light bleed, medium bleed 3. A lot of base valve tunings containing this bleed. So what does it mean? Okay, so if we look into here, the main difference is actually from the first shim for the high-speed compression shim stack. So I'll circle it around here. If you're looking closely, you will see it has two notches. So in some version, it has only one notch. So here I'm comparing medium versus medium bleed. So the medium bleed actually will have two notches over here. So what is it? What does it actually do? Okay, so that one is actually called the bleed shim. So again, I copied this analysis from shimrestacker.com, and basically what it does is that when you have a notch, then from a cross section, basically you're missing one piece over here, right? So this is only cross section on one side. If you have multiple notches, then it will be on two sides or even three sides. But in this case, I think maximum two sides. Then what you can see is it basically decrease both your low speed and high speed. That's because if low speed got decreased, your high speed compression will most likely decrease as well. So it will increase the low speed oil flow and decrease the overall compression, especially at low speed. So it actually acts like a low speed bypass that you can adjust easily by using external knobs. So if you're having the base valve, or you're having your stock Floatex, that your base valve tuning contains the bleed shims, then theoretically you're having two types of low speed circuits. The one is the lead port that you always have. Then the other is the bleed shim that give you additional low speed oil flow. Combining that together, you will get probably extremely low, low speed compression. Okay, so let's take another look at the Marzocchi Bomber Air LSC, because these two shocks are compared multiple times. I think the difference over here is that for the Bomber Air low speed compression, it uses the traditional clicker bleed. That means you have a needle which controls, the taper needle will control the oil flow for the center channel. So that's why I marked here in blue. The center channel is over there, and you basically use the needle up and down in order to control the low speed oil flow path. And for high speed, it's basically similar to what we have for the Floatex. For high speed, it just goes across here through the shim stack. What the Bomber Air is lacking is it doesn't have the additional shim stack, which is, in Floatex, it's probably around here. That, if you lock that down, it will reduce your oil flow, and you will need to go through that additional shim. So that's the difference. So actually, the Bomber Air looks a lot like the original Fox Fan RC. Okay, so after watching this video, I will highly suggest you check your stock tune of your Fox suspension. For example, here I put mine, which is a status 160 suspension settings over here. So you need to decode the coding over here. So here I have a CM, which is mid-valve compression. Okay, this mid-valve compression has nothing to do with the base valve. It basically it's basically saying on your main piston or mid-valve, the compression shim stack is at medium setting. Then we have the reservoir lever mode firm. Then this one is actually what we should look into, right? So it basically says the base valve lever mode firm as I indicated. So here we can see the base valve, as I mentioned previously, has a lot of tuning that has the bleed circuit over there, the bleed shims. And for the mid-valve compression, you have a ton of tunings over here, but that might not be as important as the base valve in this condition. Okay, so now the thing we need to discuss is that for your circumstance, is doing this upgrade really make a difference to you? I would say based on my experience, because my base valve is a firm tune, then it actually will notice a difference, and I've verified that by changing it to the eBay $6 knob. But if your base valve bleed shim has the two slots, as I showed previously, most likely you won't feel much difference when rotating the low speed compression knob, since the low speed compression has already been dominated by the bleed shim. That means the low speed compression is already pretty low. Then if you add more oil flow through the taper groove, or reduce more, you will probably not notice a lot of difference. And the third thing is if you have a bass valve lever mode firm tune, but mid valve compression tune is too light, then I think you will need to, kind of compress the shock slowly in order to see the difference. I haven't verified this yet. Feel free to comment if you have this kind of tuning. Let me know if the mid valve actually will influence how it feels. Okay, so even though my shock is a mid valve, medium, lever mode, or bass valve firm, there is actually a feel of nonlinearity tuning when I was doing this. Okay, so based on this plot from open to light, I should feel something, right? But in reality, I almost couldn't feel anything is changing. I analyze it. I think the reason is as below. So the tapered groove is actually changes linearly, right? The open, that means you have the maximum flow, 100% flow. Let's just say it. Then the light, we will have 75%, medium 50%, and firm is 25% open. So that's all talking about the oil flow through the leak port. Then when you switch from open to light, then basically you're changing it by 1.3x. I think since the damping provided by the oil is not dominant at this point because you have seal friction, O-ring friction, etc., then you could not feel much change. Then from light to medium, the rate of changing is 1.5x. Then you will start to feel some minor changes when you rotate from here to here. Then medium to firm, the oil flow changes by 2x. Then that's when you start to feel some noticeable changes from here to here. Then here is from firm. You can actually rotate that even more, so you will get some extra firm feelings. So the first 1/8 turn, probably around here, right? You will feel a lot of changes. By turning that maybe 5 to 10 degrees, you will feel it's getting firmer and firmer. And after that, the last portion, you will probably feel minimal changes, since at that place you almost block the low speed oil flow path, and the damping will be dominated by the high speed shim stack and also mid valve. Okay, so that's the theory behind it. If you're not feeling much difference from open to light or light to medium, I think that's absolutely normal. Okay, the rider impressions. In this case, I'm talking about the my impression. So the specialized tune, the stock tune, the low speed compression is at the open position, which provides minimum damping for low speed. And after installing the low speed compression knob, so what I did is I tuned a quarter of a turn to become low speed compression light when going downhill. And I will use the extra firm on technical climbing and lockout only on fire road climbing or tarmac. Anything that I can feel there's some rocks, roots, I will not use the climb switch. The reason I was doing this is the Status 160 has pretty bad anti-squat. So if you're at the highest gear 11 tooth cassette, then you're bobbing like mad because the anti-squat is only 20%. And when you're doing the technical climbing, for example, or any climbing in general, if it's pretty steep, then probably I'll use first or second gear, and the anti-squat actually will improve to 83%, right? So with 20%, when I'm sprinting on the tarmac, I know it sounds ridiculous riding a Status 160 sprinting on the tarmac, but for the trail that I ride, there is some tarmac over there, and it's a downhill tarmac, or flat road. In this case, I will need to pretty firm lockout, and that's when I use the climb switch. So as I said, when doing technical climbs, I will encounter some roots. And since the anti-squat is 83%, not too shabby, I would say, for this bike, then the lockout becomes too firm, right? It cannot absorb the impact of the root or some rocks, and the rear wheel will lose traction if I use the climb switch. Okay, so setting low speed compression to firm or extra firm will result in minimal pedal bob when doing technical climbing, in my case, but the rear wheel will also have good traction when hitting a rock or root. Okay, so basically that's my rider impression. And finally, I hope this video will be useful to most of you. If not, I will really hope you can you find this video entertaining. So kindly ask you to consider subscribe, like, and comment down below. And thank you. I'm really happy to share what I find, what I learned by doing this upgrade, and hope you have a great ride.